Greetings and salutations, race fans, motorsport lovers, petrol heads, and others. You know who you are. And welcome to episode 97 of Waved Yellow. We come from somewhere, come to you, from a workshop somewhere in Joburg. It's the workshop of Pieter and Retha Zelie. Pieter, thank you very much for inviting us into your home. And let's talk to the boss. Retha, thank you very much. And I see your catering department was on track.
Thank you. I always do it with pleasure.
Gary, are you alive?
I am.
Very
Colin,
good.
evening.
Awesome.
Peter, nice seeing you. Nice seeing you as well. As you said, I'm saying thanks as well.
They always say that a clever man understands who is at the power of the government of the house.
That's true. She will tell you, I can be the head, but she'll be the neck. So she'll tell me wherever I need to look or wherever I should be.
We're going to leave that one where it is. So a whole lot of things happened. But you know that we start off with Hasty's helpful hints.
What have you done this time?
Now, Gary, there's basically two parts of it. The first one is when you leave site and your phone is on charge and you have to get from one side of Joburg to the other side of Joburg, always remember to get your phone off charge, put it in your pocket before you make it from Woodmead to Fourways in the 4 o'clock traffic and have to go back and fetch it. The second is more important. You know, health and safety is always our big concern, and we like keeping blood on the inside of bodies.
Have you been leaking again?
I leaked. I had a slight blood leak where when you braai and you've got a lekker chicken breast that's nice and plump and ready for supper the next morning. I mean the next evening. And you take your knife and you just pretend that this is a chicken, Gary, and you put it over here and stupidly you put your finger on the outside of the knife to guide it. The blood becomes. So be careful with dangerous weapons. What happened this weekend? Before we move on to what happened, a couple of birthdays to Paul Hill and Damon Hill, the Hill brothers.
Yeah.
We're led to believe. Happy birthday, Sterling Moss. And also to Giraffe, Gennaro Bonafide. Happy birthday and congratulations. Hope all of you have a hell of a lot of fun. So Martin Truex Jr. won in NASCAR. Pretty cool. Kevin Harvick came second. I'm okay with that. Julian van der Walt, while we're in America, he was in the IMSA TCR. He came sixth. So that was pretty cool to see South Africans overseas. And then probably the nicerest news was Kelvin van der Linde and Patrick Niederhauser winning the ADEC GT Masters Championship again. Absolutely fantastic, and particularly in that it was the debut year for HCR Racing. So their first year of running the Audi in that championship. So that's pretty cool. So it's the second time that Kelvin wins a championship. He won it first time in...
Did he win the championship?
He's won the championship.
He won it. He won it
points or something.
Yeah, he won it in 2014
when he was 18.
without the current team, and then this year they won it one race before the end of the season. Okay, with the new team, and the new team, from everything we've seen online, are over the moon with it. Totally ecstatic, first time in. So.
And the other thing, it gets us onto one or two drivers we're going to mention. Patrick Niederhauser is a single-seater refugee, so he was on path he was part of the Renault development team, and got stuck along the way of the path to Formula One in the logjam of drivers going there, and then made the switch to GT Racing, and he's now a champion. So it is possible to go from being on the path to single-seater fame and to get caught in a logjam and move over to have a successful season. Jordan Taylor, news, Stewie White had another not so lucky weekend. Stu, go and talk to Patrick Niederhauser, and I feel for the kid. He's he's had two crappy races. Yeah. Hopefully it'll come right for the next one. While we're on South Africans, Jordan Taylor looks like he's going to replace Jan Magnussen in the Corvette C8R. the new mid-mount, mid-engined Chevy. Who would have thought that a Corvette would be mid-engined? And then I need to, Tasman Pepper, Jeff Kruger, they go to Amio Cup. Volkswagen South Africa take them to Volkswagen India. And Taz starts at the back of the grid, boom, wins the race. So that kid is absolutely, completely a proper driver.
She's a very nice girl as well.
I've got to remember to move the microphone according to who talks. One day we're going to get a microphone that picks up all the right sounds and leaves out all the wrong sounds, all the moaners and groaners. We're not, if you're negative and all the rest of it, my intelligent microphone will. I know I'm one of the positives. And I just want a big shout out to Juan Manuel Correa, who is still in intensive care in after the huge crash with Anton Hubert, where he died. You'll recall that he was the guy who T-boned him. He had major issues with his lungs. The lungs are okay, but his legs are a problem. And my heart goes out to him because his body is kind of broken. And I just hope that he heals up soon and gets better and gets in a car and goes super fast again. Gary, what have you got that excited you this? We went, the last weekend. I forgot our trip.
Just before we go there, because talking about the boys on the international platform, big shout out to Darren Binder, who's just signed for another year with CPI team in Moto 3. So he has a contract to run for next year. It was doubts whether it was going to happen, but that deal's been put to bed, so he's off to go and do that, which is very good. And so he stays on the circus with Darren, with Brad Binder.
And they're racing somewhere this weekend.
That's right, they're racing Aragon this weekend.
We went to Lichtenberg.
Yeah, we went to go and see Fred.
And, we went to the South African Cross Country Championship. Big shout out, Roy Aubrey from Haval, Edenvale, gave us an H9, which is it's a big car. It's a 4x4 thingy, and it did its job. We're there, Roy, we did a whole complete road test on the way back. It was absolutely magnificent to see. We played games with the fuel gauge to see how low we could get it. That was a lot of fun. Great car, so thanks to Haval Edenvale. Do yourself a favor. That's a brand that opened my eyes. And at least if you could have open eyes, you can see the trees and stuff around you. But why are we here? So we came to, there was a number of things. Before I forget. We'll talk about drags. I did forget. The things are going round and round in my head, but we'll get there. In the build-up to the Emerald Casino or Emerald Speedfest, we'd arranged to come to see Pieter Zeelie and to have a look at his cars, because there are a whole lot of lacquer cars here, but this Toyota MR2, we really wanted to just come and have a bit of a discussion. And then the Time Attack is cancelled. It's moved to next year, and more about that later. And then Peter said, well, let's carry on. So that's why we're here. And again, thanks for letting us into your cave, your man cave. But I've got to say, whose favorite color is red?
I don't know if you saw what it says there. It says it's the fastest color. So it's my favorite color.
Because there's a lot of red here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I firmly believe it's the fastest color.
That's pretty cool. There's a nice deep red. The walls are more Stop Street red. And that one's more Ferrari red. But why the silver car then?
I bought it like that, so I like that color as well. It's not the fastest color, but it's a nice color.
It's a cool color. Peter, you started your motorsport career, and if our research department are right, Gary, because if they're not, I'm going to murder them. You started your career on drags, and that was a lot of fun. 5 times South African champion.
Yeah, it's actually 4 times. No, but
4, 5. It's a whole bunch. It's a lot. Well done.
Yeah, no, it started off in 1996. I started playing around, and it just got more and more serious, and I started doing great times, and it bit me in a good way.
What were you driving then?
It was if I'm not mistaken, I think it was chassis number 4, Kit Car Centre Cobra.
Okay, so it had got a massive V8, because a Cobra, we were talking about handling of a Cobra. Now, I'm led to believe that Cobras don't handle. Tony Martin, sorry for you, but they're really good, got light, and they go like stink in a straight line.
Yeah, it's got a ladder frame chassis, so doesn't matter how stiff you make the suspension, all that's happening is the chassis is flexing. And that's what I found, because I started going from the drag racing into gymkhanas and track racing. First track event I did with the Cobra was in Maputo, on their track, landed in the kitty litter. And I just realized you can't improve the chassis for racing unless if you make major modifications to it.
But we're going to talk about that later, because it so turns out that you did make major modifications. What was it about drags that hooked you? What was the thing that bit the bug that made you like it so much?
My best friend, Gert, he was doing it. And I think he got us into it as well. But then I've taken it beyond, I think, what he expected. No, I think that acceleration is phenomenal. And speed in general, and cars, it's just in my blood. And it's in Rita's blood as well. So it's a passion we share, and we work together on cars at times, even if she just does the catering and stuff. But
no, that's a vital function of any racing team. They say, who was it? Napoleon. That an army marches on its stomach. A race team relies on catering department. It is a vital. So, Rita, you play a more important part than the guy who brings fuel to the track, because you bring fuel for the bodies.
Well, you can't expect people to give their best if they're not well prepared and fed, and you need to look after them. I'm their mom. So I see the mom around here.
I'll tell you what, you chose well. Hey?
yeah, Colin, the problem is she's now catering for some of my competitors as well. So
No, charge it. And then there's special food for the competitors, and they get like... interesting that you say about that bit of the speed. Last week, on Thursday, Giannis invited us to the club, Nissan Club 23 Outlaws, Joel. And I got to experience a 1200 horsepower GTR. And it kind of flattened my eyeballs. And Rion from NX Gen, it's one of they... Yeah. He said to Baz, must he give me the full experience, full bones, and 1200 horsepower, that thing's quick.
yeah, I think the four-wheel drive especially makes it, you can put 1200 horsepower in another car and you won't experience to the extent that you experience the GTRs. They are phenomenal. Yeah, I think the Cobra that I had, obviously we had drag slicks and track was prepared, and I could just floor it and it wouldn't even wheel spin, lift the front wheels up and so on for a street car.
What quarter mile time?
10.6.
That's quick.
I think that record stands until today, as far as I know.
What did that car weigh?
It was just under 11 kgs.
That's still quite heavy for a quick drag car. So there must have been huge ponies under the bonnet.
Yeah, I remember we used to make about 750 newtons. And if I'm not mistaken, it was something like 480 horsepower on the wheels.
Yeah.
Love it. Got to have power.
That was normally aspirated, which of course was phenomenal in 2004.
Rita is more popular than Peter.
And
I'm getting orders for pancakes. Best caterer in the pits. Paul Hill says, pancakes.
yeah, but Paul, have you blown out the candles yet, or have you blown them up?
Yeah.
Happy birthday again, bro.
Troy Cochran says, yeah, best caterer in the pits. So you obviously have a fan base already. So Peter, now it's... and there's other things we're going to do. So
What's your favourite food to cater for the teams?
I don't have a favorite. Whatever goes, I just need to feed them with a lot of stuff. Just make sure there's lots of sweets and lots of cold drinks and maybe some other things.
Lemon meringue pie, do you do that?
I can arrange that.
Awesome. Hint, hint.
It's not good for the weight, and we need a power to weight ratio, of course.
Yeah, well, in my slim physique, I got told that my bum is getting bigger, and I think my jeans are getting smaller. We're at the drags.
Can I just ask something to Paul Hill? If he would give me a spin in the Aston, I'll organise some whatever he wants to eat. Pancakes it was. No problem.
Okay,
There's
Paul,
a challenge, Paul.
Paul, in the comments section, you can start the negotiation live online if you want to. We can live with that, and we'll just share it with the rest of the world.
And Troy is like family, so okay. I don't know. He'll have to do a bit more for pancake or for whatever he wants.
One of the companies at the drags was Motul, and there's been life is full of developments, and people move on and move onwards and upwards. And I just want to say Motul have now taken over their own distribution of the oils, all the better to service bike shops. Mm-hmm. Apparently we're going to look at some bikes. They've also got the car stuff. And Mersha was, hell of excited about how Motul is going to grow forward. And she's coming to join us next week. So on episode 98 of Waved Yellow, we're getting ever closer to that number 100, which will be in our new studio. Super excited about that. But, we can sit and talk around here. I want to get up and go and have a look at some of these cars. Where do you suggest we start, Peter?
We can start at the far end if you wish.
I was hoping you were going to say with a red one.
Okay, we can start with the plain red one, yes.
Do you have a name for all your cars?
No, I don't. I never thought about it.
Rita, do you?
Does it help? Is it faster?
I don't know.
If it's faster, I'll do it, yeah.
You've got a magnificent workshop. Got to say this. And you were talking about Cobras and their ladder suspension. So here you have, this is the Zeelie Cobra Model 1.
One of one in the world.
Okay, so let's come around here. So while Gary's showing off the bodywork, Rita, come and join us here. There's carbon fiber, there's lots of red, carbon fiber seats, and some interesting stuff. So the concept behind this thing, just quickly run past it. You weren't happy with the chassis of a standard Cobra, so you decided to invent your own.
Yes, just something I didn't tell you as yet. So I was at school and I was lying on the gymnastic, what do you call it, the carpet, or what do they call those things?
You're dossing on the floor.
Yeah, and I was dreaming about, as a kid, building my own car and racing it. And that's been a dream for many, many years. And Rita recognized that as well. So when we started with this, I got full support. And we started with this car because, as you say, a ladder frame chassis doesn't handle well. You've got to throw weight at it. You've got to throw steel at it to get it to handle. And the best way to do it is to triangulate and use a...
Maths and science, kids. Triangle and geometry.
And that's what I've done here. So there wasn't anything available at the time that I could copy. So we worked where the MR2 is parked now and started playing with... it was 1 December during holiday. We started building it, and then it progressed. And then just interesting, perhaps, the bodywork. I went to Speed and Sound's, what's his name?
Gosh, I
can't remember his name now. He's going to kill me. But so he did. I had a thing in my mind what I wanted the car to look like, with the like you said, the mini lights, and he used what do you call it?
Scanner and
to get me a photo of this. And we used that and stuck it at a shop, and we started building this body from that.
Awesome. So let's have a look on the inside here. Straight away, geometry, maths and science and angles with the gas struts to get it to handle the weight. That was actually quite impressive. Inboard front suspension. Interesting take on...
Yeah, it initially was planned with a normal strut system, BMW. It was actually built like that, and then as I started developing my knowledge and I started realizing that I know nothing, I decided to do this. And I started building the inboard suspension. And the main reason for it is to get a softer ride, and because you get an increasing rate.
Yeah, you can have a rising rate on the front suspension. So soft around normal load, but as it goes more and more into bump, you've got a nice progressive. Yeah.
That's exactly the reason why I did it, yeah.
And the carbon you did just because it's clacker, because it's carbon.
Yeah, I mean...
Fuel injected Ford V8, mounted nice and far back, gives you what kind of weight distribution?
Can I just correct you, because it's definitely not a Ford.
Okay.
If it was a Ford, the workshop would have been blue.
Okay. So what? Help me. I mean...
No, it's a Chevy, but of course it's...
Tell you what, if you take this to the Cobra Club, they are going to murder you stuckend.
That's fine. I'm ready for it. This is my dream, so if they don't like it, it's fine. But they know about it by now.
I'm sure they do. Graham Preston, how's it? Okay, so it's as one does. Puts you of course you put a Chev into a Cobra, not so lacquer. All right, this is your dream. This is where things start. And we mentioned about the geometry of the struts. Let me just show you how nice and easy it is. I've got to get my fingers in the right place, because as things come down, the angles change and you break your fingers. We're going to end up with this MR2, and this is your hill climb beast. This is the thing that you had at the Samola hill climb. Oh, and by the way, Gary?
Sorry.
I was just wondering whether Jaguar are no longer naming rights partner of the Samola hill climb. The concept with that, guys, is that with one manufacturer owning the naming rights, it kind of wasn't so lacquer for all the others. So they've got a sort of a tier of, they want all the manufacturers to be involved, and apparently everybody's enthusiastic about it, and everybody wants to be involved. So that's the hill climb. You're going to go again to the hill climb again?
Yeah, I've done 7, so I just want to tell Jaguar that it did pay off, because I bought a Jaguar today.
Motorsport sponsorship plays. And first of all, thank you, or not first of all, I'm just also going to have a big shout out to Jag for supporting motorsport and the event and helping grow and establish it, because it's a really cool event. And Retha, I'm sure you enjoyed it as well.
Well, it's a big event for us. We take a lot of clients and friends.
Because, hold on, this is as Zeelie Auditors and Liam Tax? Liam Tax. I know I haven't got my eyes on. Can see nothing.
No, we've taken up to about 65 people to the hill climb.
Every year?
Every year for the last 7 years. So
and that's good for business?
It's good for business, but it's mainly friends, and our clients become our friends. So we love having them around when we race. Awesome.
Right, let's go and have a look in the other side of the workshop. Apparently our production department has said I must go around this way, past a lacquer carbon wing. We'll talk about that now. And this is the silver car. And the silver car is an Exige, Lotus Exige?
It's a Lotus Exige Series 1 with a wide body. Initially done, it's done in South Africa. I think this is number 2 of 2.
It's very lacquer, full of louvers and aero. You can just picture the air moving around. And this car it's had some damage and just been resprayed, and now you're going to get it on the road. And Retha, I believe that this is the car that you want to drive.
Well, I have my eyes on it, so we'll take it on the track, I'm sure.
I'm sure you could make a few suggestions and make it happen.
Well, as long as it's fast, that's all that matters, eh?
I love that. And it's got the V6, and I've lost the terminology, something 2 Toyota engine.
Yeah, it's a 2 GR. It's
there you go.
V6, 3.5 litre V6 engine. This one is normally aspirated.
Yeah. But the one in the other one's got lots of...
Yeah, that's got some hair blower, hair dryer to it.
No, turbos are the way forward. Right, the white car. you need to explain this thing to us, because it looks like a seriously lekker sports car, but there's a twist in the tail, isn't there?
Yeah, this car is South African designed, South African built. It's called a Speeds. It was apparently designed by Rory Byrne from Formula One farm. The purpose of the car was to be as light as possible, so that you can use a basic lightweight engine with it and still be fast. But this car is a lot of fun to drive.
And particularly fun because under this cloth, at the back here, there is, let's see if we can lift the cloth if you don't mind. Can like to be the engine. It's a motorbike engine.
That's correct. So it's from a Hayabusa motorcycle, engine and gearbox.
That's a Suzuki, isn't it?
It's a Suzuki.
Because I just now, I thought it might have been a Kawasaki, but, my Japanese is not there. We love Suzukis, and you can, Franco Scribanti's got 2 of these welded together, making a V8.
That's correct. It's a very popular engine. It's a very powerful engine. It wasn't powerful enough for me, so I added hairdryer to that as well.
Turbocharged Hayabusa engine, which brings its own challenges in terms of transmission, doesn't it?
That's correct. It's still chain-driven, but the chain's not giving trouble. It's the gearbox itself. But we hope to find the solution this time.
Bigger gears. Andre Fave. He has another South African gearbox project. I believe he's got a couple of them. Yeah, I've got to cover up, keep the dust off this thing. We can't really. There are huge Venturis in it, underbody aero. And you were saying earlier when we were just chatting that it was the car that introduced you to the importance of aero in racing cars.
Yes, I never realized the effect that it could have. And this one in particular, you would go around faster corners and it just messes around your brain because you don't understand what's happening. Then you feel those G-forces and you try it in the slower corners and it doesn't work. So you've got to get used to it, but you get used to it quite quickly because this car is handling well.
The faster you go, the more grip you got.
That's it.
Love it. Trust the aero.
So I once went out with the rear wing. We just wanted to check the gearbox again, and I nearly killed myself because you can't go. This thing is so well balanced, and the downforces, each item on it works very well.
Awesome. That's the bit about a racing car. It's a team. It's a thing where the front influences the middle and the back. And now to this thing. Toyota MR2 V6 turbo, bucket loads of power. We're not going to talk figures because that doesn't count.
It's enough.
But it's enough. and you have to limit it. You traction limited in this car, aren't you?
Yeah, it can make more power than you can handle on the track. When I go on the hill climb, I use full power because that's a horsepower track. But on Swartkops, Kailami, these sort of tracks, you really can't use the power. It's just too much. And that's not just me. Even Gavin Cronje, who's a highly respected driver, also will tell you he doesn't run it at full boost. It's just too much.
Have you, and this car's it's got an interesting history. You've had a whole combination of you developing it and Fast Ready developing as well, and you've got to a point now where a lot of the teething problems you had in the beginning, they've been cured, and you've now got a reliable car. And last race out at Swartkops, you had a damn good meeting, and the smile on your face was quite phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm still smiling about that. Freddie built the car initially. He stripped it. It was a silver basic MR2 street car. He stripped it. He built it. I imported the body kit. I had molds made, etc. This body kit comes from the States. But Freddie's got a lot of work, and he needs to build cars for 10 people at the same time, and I didn't have that sort of patience. We're very good mates. So nothing wrong, nothing untoward. We brought it here. We finished it, the last part of it. But he's helping me until today, and he's a phenomenal person.
He's got a bank of knowledge and experience that is, you really want him on your side.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, as you get to know more, you actually realize how little you know, and he knows most of it. So
and it runs full Motec system. Martin Roots help you with that?
Yes, yeah. All my
Mr. Motec.
All my cars run Motec, yeah. It just saves your engine, and it's worth it.
And it also gives you one system to get used to when you're pulling the data. Don't ever try a Morelli system because, I'll tell you what, the user interface is, I'm just trying to think of a polite word, not so lacquer. All right, so you've got Motec in all of that. We apparently our lighting department is. Do you know what normal lighting departments do? No. They move the lights. But our lighting department.
It'll be difficult this time.
No, they're very clever, resourceful, and all the stuff. What is the biggest thing? First of all, why the hell do you take an MR2 and try and make a super fast racing car out of it? Why this car?
I can imagine that it's a question people.
It's an oddball car to be a racing.
This is the third MR2 that we've. Retha owned one. Actually, she owned two. We raced both and enjoyed it very much. And that introduced me to a mid-engine setup, which was very, very nice.
Transverse. So basically, it's a front-wheel drive car, that concept, transverse with a gearbox on the end, stuck in the back.
Correct. So it's rear-wheel drive. But as you say, it's like a front-wheel drive setup, transverse. It's, I think, the best setup you can get in terms of the weight distribution. And I decided, I've been developing the previous car and I sold it, and I decided to build a monster. I've never raced with turbos, and it was new to me.
If you've never done it before, well, why the hell not? Stick a turbo on it and let's make the most power, because power.
But it needs to get used to, especially this sort of power. You can't drive it like a normally aspirated car. You'll kill yourself. But I'm getting there. And
you certainly got it some really, really quick times at Swartkorps.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that I'm 0.9 of a second off Gavin's times. And as I say, I respect him a lot. I'm happy to reduce that time as well if I can.
What's the next level of development on this thing? Now you've got the reliability sorted out. You strike me as a guy with itchy fingers. You don't like to leave things alone. You like fiddle, 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 make it go faster.
Retha will say I mustn't.
Am I right?
She says I mustn't say this because people will take it wrong, but I'm a molester.
Car molester.
I don't molest kids or I don't abuse substances or whatever, but I do molest cars, yeah.
But you modify, tinker, we came down in apparently, some say, somewhere in Joburg, it's very easy to go from your lounge to your garage.
I want to say perhaps unfortunately. No, but it's not unfortunately. No, I enjoy it. I'm here. I do two jobs in my life. The first one is as auditor and the other one is as a mechanic.
So as an auditor, a forensic auditor, so when somebody makes a bit of poo, you can go and find out. And how do you follow, just maybe you can't tell us, but if somebody gets paid some money here and they put it in another account there, like that guy who photocopy or he photoshopped the lotto ticket, he wins a bucket load of money, he gets paid out, and then he bounces the money. How do you follow all of that?
You probably refer to something like kite flying. That's a technical term for moving money around in bank accounts. I've got one particular client who did that in particular, and maybe I shouldn't say too much about it, but it was interesting. But you
can follow it. I mean, is it easy, or do you need like a big magnifying glass?
No, it's definitely not easy. But fortunately, in a lot of the cases I get involved in, we've got the benefit of subpoena, so we can force people to tell us, and that helps.
And if guys are fiddling with money and crooking and all the rest of it, bottom line of it is, from what you were saying earlier, is you will be caught.
I think I'm working my biggest client. We're working close together as well, and I think if you're in the radar, you were naughty, we've got a good chance.
I'm a good boy. I'm not naughty at all. I don't earn enough to get anywhere. This thing is hell of a lacquer. What in this car, is there one or two things that you are particularly proud of in this MR2?
We've done many things, so I can tell you that the gearbox, for example, I was one of the first ones that imported that particular gearbox. It's a CUPS 7-speed sequential gearbox.
Still transverse. And it's rated for 900 Newton meters, you said?
900 Newton meters. I'm pushing 900 Newton meters. I can tell you it can take it. And, I do standing starts at the hill climb, so it can take it. With traction control and soft slicks. And it is absolutely phenomenal. I've tried other gearboxes before that, and I nearly gave up racing.
If you had to take this thing to, I don't know, quarter mile, how fast would it do a quarter mile in?
I have no idea. I've been asked a question. It's a matter of traction, whether I'll get traction, because it's only two-wheel drive. But with the sort of power it's making, if I compare it with my previous Cobra, I did 3.1 seconds in 0 to 100. And 10.6 seconds in a quarter mile. This one is much faster.
Now I'm getting this quarter mile thing. Should we go and sit in our studio that you've neatly prepared for us? I see catering department has been absolutely fantastic. Check out the drinks we've got. It's berries. Thank you, catering. Well done. Big shout out to Retha, catering department.
It's only a pleasure.
One thing you asked me, that I want to add about the MR2 in terms of aerodynamics. So we've been playing around with that. I don't know if I should show you what's happening underneath the car, because I believe some people don't want to show that. I'm not too fussed about it. But I'll lift it up now for you. But just we didn't change anything to the suspension or power or anything other than aerodynamics. And that brought my time down from a 104 to 102.
So 2 seconds, just getting the aero balance right. You said earlier, and I think we go there right at the end, and how cool is it to shut off the show underneath the racing car? You said earlier that this thing, it's still road registered.
Yeah, it's still road registered and the license kept up to date.
Now, that brings me to the next challenge. Because on the 29th of September, for all of those just around the corner from where we are, Krugersdorp Hill Climb is back. And the VW Club of South Africa is organizing it. We are going to be there. We're going to have a whole bunch of cameras up and down this thing. If our production department and commercial department get their ducks in a row, this will happen. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's going to be... I first went to the Krugersdorp Hill Climb when I was I wasn't as tall as this table. So, VW Club are organizing it. Gary has got the link in there all sorted. So if you want to enter, all you need is a car with a license disc. So Pieter Zeelie, here's the challenge. Take this thing up the Krugersdorp Hill.
I will definitely consider it.
Okay, guys, there we have it. Pieter Zeelie's in at the Krugersdorp Hill Climb. He's got his rain tires. Or am I jumping the gun?
No, I was thinking about doing it. I saw it's the 29th, and I've done the hill climb several times. I also was a young lady when we went there to watch one of our teachers go and race there. That was primary school times. So, and I've raced there myself, and I enjoyed it. So I would like to do it. I just don't know about
Details, tires, details. The most important thing, Rita here, is king of catering. So I'm thinking, because it's a Sunday, it's going to be hot. I'm thinking sort of stuff that isn't too juicy, like maybe a cheeseburger, because you can never go wrong with cheeseburgers. What's running through your mind from a catering department for the Krugersdorp Hill Club?
Definitely not a roast. Something that's easy, that I can transport there. So
Something like a cheeseburger?
I can always arrange that. I know people.
With chilies on it? Do you know people who can put chilies on a cheeseburger?
I actually do know people who can put the chilies on. I'll bring that along.
I tell you what, that would be for Gary. I mean, I know that you're not a super chili fan, but I just love chilies on cheeseburgers. And up the Krugersdorp Hill Climb, 29th of September, you can go and enter. Gary's got the link there, and see if you can beat Pieter Zeelie's car up the hill. Oh, Gary, can you tag Kyle on this? Kyle, brother, bring that GTR. Giannis, bring all your GTRs. They've all got license discs. But you see, there's 6 different classes. This car will be in the two-wheel drive class. A GTR will be in the four-wheel drive class. As long as it's road registered. Kyle, those NX Gen cars, they rock it.
I presume.
Yeah. That's quick. Once you've got over launch, how do you reckon you'll have a go with it?
I actually know how I'll do.
Because you did it at NAS, no?
I was fortunate enough, I can't tell or say too much, but to get data of certain people.
Sources say.
So we overlaid the data, and a certain person took more than 2 seconds on me just on the pull away, on the start line. In the first, 100 kilometers, I think? 100 kilometers an hour.
It's unreal what multi-wheel drive does to you.
It's unreal, and I can't beat that. I mean, what can I do? I've got traction control. I've got everything I can. Soft tires. I can't improve on that. So
You've just got 2 contact patches, and the four-wheel drive cars have got 4. So they must be able to put double the power down on the road.
yeah, and weight distribution is a big issue. You put all the weight on the back wheels. With that particular car, they spread it much better than we can.
Well, the only really fast cars up there were GTRs, weren't they?
Yeah, there was a certain V8 that was quick as well, a two-wheel drive, a Jaguar, if I recall.
Yeah, but are we talking quick? Not quick.
Yeah. Although Davy Joubert did a 39.0 with his Lotus, I think 2 years ago. That was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, but Davy Joubert, we all know that his cars have got like about 9,000 horsepower, because Davy's a horsepower junkie.
I've known him since 1999, and we used to know him as Armpies, because he knows how to drive as well.
In that, what was that bread van Toyota that he had? He can pedal proper. Davy, we love pulling your leg, brother, because we do what we can. But it's kind of getting to around about the time when our production department is basically saying to us, go away.
Just a quick one. A lot of people saying great cars, great guy. My gunsteling says Gerard Botha. And Paul Hill honored your challenge. To get it. Yeah, he says if you can beat him in an endurance race, you can come and sit in his car. Paul, I think that one's very harsh. I think you've got to come up with something more realistic.
Yeah, please. No, that's.
I actually think you should just be nice. Retha will make you some pancakes, and then you take Pieter for a drive in the Aston. That's hell of a fare, isn't it? I mean, your pancakes, I'm told, because we did a bit of research as well. Your pancakes are just unbelievable. It's a great deal, Paul. Go for it.
Yeah, we can make it a drive for a drive as well if we wish. But I think you'll get a better deal then.
Right, coming up this weekend. I had a note here about Toy Story, because an MR2 is the car that the hero in Toy Story.
That's absolutely correct. Toy Story, and exactly with the body kit that I have, with the engine that I have, basically everything I have here, except I added a turbo, is how they raced it in in several series, but in particularly in the Super GT. And that's why I copied the Super GT car as well. And they won the Super GT, not just Toy Story won it once, I think, and some other cars won in total 4 years in a row. This car won the Super GT Challenge.
Awesome stuff. Absolutely magic. Oh, Gary, in our drive with the Haval H9 from Haval Edenvale, thank you, Mr. Aubrey, Lance Woolridge wins the championship, Class T championship again. Big drama. Henk Latergan dealt with unbelievable pressure from Janelle de Villiers to actually win on the road before Henk and Brett Cummings and Janelle and Dennis Murphy, because they're co-drivers and they absolutely are vital. Until there were some penalties and you're not supposed to go more than 50 k's an hour in a zone, and Janelle wins. Awesome stuff. Lance, we spoke about Lance. And that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is our lot for this weekend. There's great racing in Port Elizabeth. Sadly, I will not be there. It's a long story. I'm not happy. I've been to all the GT races for 2 years, but I'm not happy. I'm grumpy, but I'll get over it. There's GTC Racing, which is also lekker. That noise you can hear in the background is the MR2 going up. There's motorbikes. Go and watch Keith from raceday.tv on his motorbikes. He's got a 600, and Keith actually said to me that he's going to teach me how to ride it. So we're going up, and the purpose of this is we want to have a look at some of the aero. And Gary, I'm hoping that our lighting department will come to the party with us. But as it goes up, you get an idea of fat AP Racing brakes. Darby, you see what we do for you? We move the spokes out of the way so that AP brakes can get there. Fast developments. And these ducts behind the wheels, some may say they don't really understand it, but the purpose of that is to try and evacuate the air from underneath here. Right, so Peter, you've got diffuser and flat floor, develop airspeed. Airspeed goes high, pressure goes low, Mr. Bernoulli tells us, and then you take that air out above the floor and exhaust it out the side.
The sides, that's correct. This is the part that improved the time by 2 seconds.
But it's not a super aggressive Venturi like some of the GT3 cars that we've seen. But it works.
I'm limited because I've got a certain chassis that I must use.
And there's stuff in here.
There's stuff in the way. So we were able to make plans with part of it, but I think this is the extent that I'm limited to.
And this bit here, all this lacquer composite work, you actually made in this shop?
This was made in the shop, yes. Everything you see here in terms of this car here was made in the shop. The floor was made elsewhere. Earlier years, we make that as well. Like you can see in the front, we've done it here.
It's really cool with a honeycomb material in the... What do you call that stuff?
Sorik.
Sorik. Right, sorry. At the back, got to have Venturis, got to have fences. And the more fences you've got, the more downforce you actually have, because each one of them has a little vortex, because we love vortexes.
Yeah. It is unbelievable how important a diffuser is, a rear diffuser is. At the hill climb, I lost my car's twice. And the reason for it, I don't know if Gary wants to look here, but this area here, sucked down. We had, where this bolt is here, we had a bolt somewhere here, I think it's there, and this whole thing was sucked down.
So the floor stalls?
No, well, to the extent that the diffuser went down as well, and you can see it happened again. Look, because this was the same height.
Okay, so this has just been worn away, that actually sucked. Gary, let me go and get my torch so that we can try and see what's happening here. Our lighting department is in the house. So this is the one that we want to look at here, where this part, and if you go out a little bit, we can see, Gary, this part here was rubbing on the road.
Yeah. So what we fixed it with a bracket here since the hill climb, so it can't move down. But what then happened was it actually tore the strake here where it's mounted to the diffuser. And this whole thing moved down, and this whole thing moved down as well, and that's why it rubbed it like that.
Simple little things that sometimes cause a whole lot of problems.
And you can hang on to this thing. It will take the weight of yourself. One of my mechanics is even a bit heavier in weight.
Oh, so now you're saying I'm heavy?
I'm saying heavy, he's heavier.
Yeah, but that's only 80 kilograms of downforce. You've got to have lots more kilos.
Yeah, remember now, you actually grab it at one point and you pull it down, where otherwise it's spread over the whole thing. But it's unbelievable the amount of downforce this makes. I tried to go up the hill climb without it, and it was 2 seconds down.
Well, Pieter, come, let's stand out from underneath the car, because you never know what happens inside a car. Now, I don't know how to drive this thing. I really don't. I want to say from Waved Yellow and Race Day Productions, thank you very much for inviting us into your house and the catering.
Pleasure.
It's just so lucky. I know who's actually in charge here. Hey? Rita, it's really, the welcome we've had is super. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. It's lovely to have you guys here. You do phenomenal work.
Thank you very much. Oh, Pieter, thank you. Thanks for being so open and honest and sharing your toys with us.
She is the boss.
Yeah, we know that. I mean, I didn't respect my boss, and that's why I don't have a boss anymore.
I respect her a lot.
Right.
Thank you. Like Rita said, I think you guys are doing a great job, and I hope you will continue to do it, and it will become even better.
Right, boys and girls, thank you very much for those kind words, both of you. Boys and girls, that brings us to the end of another episode of Waved Yellow. If you're going to Port Elizabeth, enjoy the racing. If you're not going to Port Elizabeth, I'm going to enjoy the rugby. I'm going to watch it at the Penta Group in Pretoria. So if you've got if you really want to go and watch rugby, come and join us at the Penta Group in Centurion. But on that note, be fast, be safe, be lekker, and please don't use your cell phone when you're driving. Cheers.